Good evening. Today we will be talking about vectors and how they are used in gaming. This presentation is by expert Adwin Bernardo. Now, first, what are vectors? Well, vectors are represented by arrows with both magnitude, which is the measure of the length of the arrow, and direction, which is the angle of the arrow. Now, let's discuss what is gaming. Gaming, it's basically just playing video games for leisure. It is an art, it is an activity of playing video games for fun. Examples of video games are Tetris, the Windows Calculator, the PS4 hit game Big Chungus, featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series, and of course, Mario and Luigi Go to Canada, the Nintendo Switch exclusive. Now, let's discuss about some of the first games ever released in the world. These games are very basic and with not much gameplay, to be honest. These games include this game called Asteroid or something similar. Basically, you shoot asteroids to destroy them. This game called Pong, which you bounce a ball that is square for some reason around the map in order for it to not go out of bounds. And of course, we can forget the first ever game, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, how are vectors used in gaming? Well, this ball in Pong actually moves. It doesn't move here because it's just a photo, but it moves within the game. Now, let's say that it moves somewhere northwest. It moves here until it reaches the wall, and then it bounces on the wall and goes to the other direction, where it continues its path until it either goes out of bounds or it touches another wall, for this case, the paddle. Now, this is the illustration as earlier. Now, how does it work on the inside? What are the brains that are happening in the game? Well, let's take a look at the programming logic, all right? In this scenario, the ball will go northwest for how many units from the ball to the wall? So basically, the ball will continue going northwest until it reaches the wall. And then it reaches the wall in the north. And then it goes southwest until it reaches the paddle or another wall. And then when it hits the paddle, the ball will go southeast until it hits a wall. And then after it reaches that wall, it will go northeast until it reaches the paddle, and so on and so on. Well, what happens inside the computer as you play Pong or any other game for that reason? Well, just lots and lots and lots of computing, like millions and millions of computing per second on just how to move your character. A lot of computing is needed to calculate the movements of the character from one place to another using vector mathematics. Now, when are vectors used in gaming? Well, any game with a movement system needs to use a lot of vectors in order to move constantly from place to place to place to place, and so on and so on. And of course, any game where objects move as well. For example, Superman 64, where you fly around the city. E.T., the game from Atari, where you move from place to place in order to do something. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, where we go very fast. Therefore, we have to use a lot of vectors, because we move so much faster. And of course, a good open world game, for example, Balan Wonderworld. In conclusion, when we have no vectors, in terms of gaming, we have no gaming.